There appears to be a lot of drama surrounding AEW backstage after a shocking firing, plus low attendance and so much more. We're going to talk about that and plus many more other news stories in today's video. Don't forget, we're giving away this championship belt once we hit 100,000 subscribers. Welcome back to the Ango Show. You can follow me on X at AngoPW. I want to kick things off with Ric Flair. Just some clarification on his AEW deal, and it came from nobody other than Tony Khan. So in a new interview with the New York Post, he mentioned something that I found to be very interesting. He says, "We're not paying Ric Flair. Ric Flair is essentially paying us. We're getting paid by Woo Energy for all of his appearances, so we're collecting revenue from them." And that just goes to show you that Tony Khan is willing to be a hypocrite when it puts money in their pocket. Because Tony Khan didn't want anything to do with Ric Flair when Dark Side of the Ring aired. Remember, Ric Flair was supposed to be on AEW at that time, and he wasn't brought in because of the controversy surrounding everything when that episode dropped. And then, of course, Tony Khan had a lot of shots that he took at Vince McMahon and the WWE, and he did that on Twitter, and he rallied up all the troops on social media. And then, just 2 weeks later, Ric Flair debuts on AEW television. A lot of people seem to defend that, but it just goes to show you that if you think a billionaire is looking out for you, they're probably not. They're looking out for them and their pockets and their business, and quite honestly, I understand why. It's not just a Tony Khan thing. It's not just a WWE thing. Every business does this. There's no such thing as morals and stuff like that when you're a billionaire business owner, because at the end of the day, you're trying to make money. And, this is why I say, perhaps maybe Tony Khan and AEW should just kind of shut the hell up once in a while, because, when you talk and talk and talk and you talk too much, people eventually get to the point where they use what you say against you. And that's exactly what has happened with Tony Khan and the Ric Flair situation. Now, it's a very impressive deal to bring in Ric Flair and get paid. I mean, yeah, it's a sponsorship deal, pretty much. But is anybody really buying Woo Energy? I mean, really, up until AEW promoting it, I've never heard about it. That's for sure. I don't drink energy drinks, so I'm not necessarily the customer that they would be targeting here, because I will never drink an energy drink. It's just interesting. Like, this would be a cool contract if it was for any other wrestler in the world that isn't Ric Flair. But hey, Tony Khan is coming out, and he's admitting it himself. They're getting paid for Ric Flair being on TV, and you know what? It is what it is. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, and I've already said my piece on that several times on this channel. WWE has come to a new deal with Ken Shamrock. This is pretty cool, man. Ken Shamrock, he obviously has his history with WWE, and in most recent years, he was actually on Impact Wrestling every Thursday night. We saw him get inducted into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, which obviously sparked a really big reaction from social media, because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson actually inducted him via like a video feed type of thing. So they did like a pre-tape thing for The Rock. The Rock actually appeared on Impact Wrestling. And look, here's the thing. Ken Shamrock coming back to the WWE in a sense of like wrestling and stuff, I don't know if it's to be expected, but WWE did add new Ken Shamrock merchandise to the website, which is a very big indication that he has joined the company. And, when you have these type of legend deals and you have these type of, contracts where you can do the licensing and the merchandising and stuff, I think you can bring these legends back once in a while. When WWE does those milestone episodes of Raw or SmackDown, I would love to see Ken Shamrock involved. The strangest thing, though, about Ken Shamrock is even at this age, Ken Shamrock could still go, which I don't expect WWE to bring Ken Shamrock into WWE on a consistent basis or anything like that. But if they really want to do something with him, they could. Now, the reality is Ken Shamrock, legitimate badass. I do feel like in a certain sense, WWE will try to utilize him at some point. But for now, I think you should just be able to expect to see WWE, launching merchandise and whatever IP properties there are, which also technically could mean that Ken Shamrock could be in a WWE video game moving forward. So maybe on the Legends DLC for 2K24 or whatever it may be. So Those types of things are definitely a lot more possible now. It is a little bit surprising to me because I know Ken Shamrock years ago was trying to come to WWE, and that didn't happen. And obviously, he was just kind of doing his thing in Impact. So, look, we haven't seen this guy on TV since 1998, 1999, something like that. I'm not sure if Ken Shamrock is a massive draw for WWE in 2023. But again, maybe a one-off appearance or something like that, I would be totally cool with. I would love to see it. And who knows? Like, with WWE, you bring in Ken Shamrock, like, like Gable Steveson, for example. You know, like, he's in NXT doing his thing. Like, if you want Ken Shamrock to give somebody the rub, there's plenty of guys in WWE where you could do that. And that's why I'm bringing it up. That's why I think it's interesting. But, yes, merchandise first, maybe WWE 2K, video game stuff, that thing, whatever. AEW drama. Yeah, so there's two things that we got to hone in on here. The morale doesn't seem to be too good for a variety of reasons, but AEW made the decision to fire Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sully Productions, bro. Yeah, the company that they brought in from Impact Wrestling that handled the post-production for AEW. Well, the person who let him go is Michael Mansouri, the guy who actually worked as part of the production for WWE. So he was brought into AEW, and Tony Khan and Michael were basically responsible for AEW going from like the tunnel entrance stage to this new one that's like super LED and light up and all that stuff. They made the decision to get rid of Kevin Sullivan. Many people in AEW thought highly of Sullivan, who had joined AEW from Impact Wrestling years ago. He built AEW's post-production team. It was added that the feeling is that the original AEW has changed greatly. Meltzer was talking a little bit about this, and he says it's interesting because today I've gotten so much feedback from people in and around AEW, and there's a lot of negativity right now. Meltzer speculated that a lot of negativity comes from poor attendance AEW Collision drew last Saturday night, which was 2,025 tickets. The negativity comes at a time while business is overall down for merchandise, ratings, and ticket sales. However, they are making more money than ever. AEW is not as close to WWE in the ratings as they were 18 months ago. The whole post-production team was his team, and so a lot of people were very surprised. There are a lot of people that were not happy about this today, which is also one of the reasons. I think why there's also, again, all day hearing negativity is because he's been there from the start, and there's this feeling that the company is changing, which it always is, and it has to. You're always going to change, but the feeling that it's changed and it's become something that it wasn't. It's crazy because Kevin Sullivan was the originator. Michael Mansouri came from WWE. Yeah, the company has changed a lot, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. If you think AEW is going to die, they're not going to die. It's just not possible for them to die at this stage of the game. Can it change? Yes, it can. Can it get better? Yes, it can. However, when morale is constantly low, when ticket sales are constantly low, maybe there needs to be a conversation, like a team meeting where everybody gets together and gets on the same page. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Ultimately, AEW needs to improve from a business perspective. I love the Continental Classic. I think storytelling lately has been pretty solid, but I feel like they've been making some questionable business decisions, like that Ric Flair one that we talked about earlier. So look, for AEW, it's not cut and dry. It doesn't happen overnight. But 2,000 tickets for a Collision, if y'all want to talk about shit, if y'all want to talk shit about Impact's low attendance, AEW has like $1 million trillion more money than Impact, and they're doing 2,000 tickets on a Collision. That's a problem. It's a problem that could be solved. It's not doom and gloom, but you got to fix it. When you fix that, when you fix all of the little holes, if you start patching the holes now, you don't want it to keep leaking. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make permanent fixes. I think that starts with structure. I think AEW needs a little bit of a better structure. Let's not talk about creative. WWE right now has a very good corporate structure. AEW does not. We're not talking about creative. We're not talking about the product. We're talking about structure. There's clearly a difference. Every company in this world should have great company structure. I've worked jobs for companies that had really terrible ones and really good ones, and trust me, it makes a difference. And that's what AEW needs.